Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and we're going to talk about EA today and how they're facing a market meltdown because of a stock plunge after they admitted Dragon Age the Veilguard failed. Whew. Well, let's cue the music and we'll get right into this story. All right, so EA is facing a market meltdown as stock plunges 20% after the admission of Dragon Age the Veilguard is a failure. This is the latest BioWare game in the Dragon Age franchise. The last one was Inquisition, came out about 10 years ago, I think it was. Sold 12 million copies over its lifespan, which is a lot of copies. This one seriously underperformed, selling only 1.5 million copies, I believe, and they were expecting approximately... I think that's about half of what they were hoping to sell right off the bat. Right from the start, from the very first trailer that came out, this game was divisive. The color scheme was off, the character design was terrible, the dialogue was just abysmal. And then once the story began to unfold, especially the story of one of the side characters, Tash, oh my God, the whole thing just fell apart. And it became a joke in the gaming community. So this was BioWare, who's owned by EA, EA, Electronic Arts, and they've done some great games in the past, but we got to remember that it's not studios that make great games, it's people that make great games. And the director of this game, Corinne Busche, a man who thinks it's a woman, recently ran off like, a rat from a sinking ship and left BioWare, supposedly choosing to go elsewhere, but it really sounds like they were fired. And that's a pattern we've seen lately. We saw the head of Warner Brothers, wait and choose to leave at a very nice time for Warner Brothers games division because they didn't have a lot on the table right then. So he, politely stepped down at that point. But these guys are getting fired and just being given the opportunity to step down to save face. I don't know why. I'd publicly just humiliate them at this point for what they've done to my company if I was in charge of it. But hey, that's me. I believe in holding people accountable and doing so in such a way that it will let other people know not to hire them in the future. But let's get into this story. Enough babbling. Electronic Arts is facing a financial crisis of epic proportions, with EA stock dropping nearly 20% after the company openly admitted that Dragon Age the Veilguard and EA Sports FC25 failed epically. The fallout from these high-profile disasters has sent shockwaves through the gaming industry, with investors reacting swiftly and decisively to the company's lowered revenue forecast for the fiscal year. The sharp decline began earlier this week, with EA stock plunging on January 22nd from $142.35 to $125.90 in a single day. Today, the bleeding continued, bottoming it out at $116.29 before clawing back slightly to its current level of $118.58. Now, this was on January 23rd. This was written, so this was a few days back. Now, these numbers represent a staggering blow to a company once seen as a pillar of stability in the gaming industry. And it's true, they pretty much were a stable game. Now, not to say they were a perfect developer or anything like that, but, they were pretty solid overall. They did have their flaws from time to time. EA's current predicament was entirely avoidable, with many pointing to mismanagement at BioWare and the company's broader embrace of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a repeating factor we see all over the place. And every time there's a big failure, every time there's a huge loss of money, this comes up in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so DEI agendas at root causes of its struggles. Dragon Age the Veilguard, which was supposed to be a triumphant return for the beloved RPG franchise, has fallen well short of expectations, despite projections that it would sell 3 million copies at release and a whopping 10 million over its life cycle. The game had only, and this is a quote, engaged 1.5 million copies, or 1.5 million players as of December 31st, 2024. And the troubles don't end there. EA Sports FC25, the rebranded successor to EA's FIFA franchise, has also underperformed. A crucial slowdown in sales over the Christmas season compounded the company's financial woes, forcing it to adjust its annual revenue projections downward by hundreds of millions of dollars. Now let's go back a bit here. And despite projections that it would sell 3 million copies, the game had only engaged 1.5 million players. What does engaged mean as opposed to sell? And that's a good question because it's kind of ambiguous, right? Does engaged mean that players tried it on like family accounts and stuff like that? Like I've got two PlayStations in my house. Actually, I have 3 of them. I've got I got PlayStation 5 Pro, a regular, and then a 4, right? So that's really 3, and I've got 3 accounts in this house. I've got mine, my fiance's, and her son's. So that's 3 people, if I own this game, that could engage that game in this house alone, right? And would those count as 3 separate players? Possibly, depending on how they define engagement. I know this game was being given away with, what was it? The NVIDIA GeForce. Like if you bought the Platinum package, I believe it was, for 6 months or something like that. They were giving away Veilguard with it, right? And there's a couple other things, or at least one other thing it was being given away with. I don't remember what. So do those count as engagement copies but not sold because, they're not being bought by players? Or are they counting them as sold? Did NVIDIA buy these copies at like a bulk rate or something? I don't know how that works within the industry, because I'm not an insider there. I don't know how that works. But in any case, is that what engaged means? Are these people that played the game and then refunded it? Because we did see there were a lot of refunds going on. I think there was in the tens of thousands of people that refunded the game right off the bat, which was pretty insane. Or people that, how does that work, right? And on the secondary market, are these people that bought the game used and had played it? I don't know. But the situation at BioWare is particularly troubling. The studio, once renowned for masterpieces like Dragon Age Origins, Jade Empire, and Mass Effect, is now seen as a shell of its former self. Meanwhile, insider reports from Smash JT and Grums suggest BioWare's Edmonton headquarters may be on the chopping block, with EA allegedly preparing to shutter the studio entirely as part of a broader cost-cutting measures. The Veilguard leaned heavily into progressive themes, a shift that alienated many longtime fans. Critics argue that the game prioritized political messaging over engaging gameplay and compelling storytelling, resulting in a product that failed to resonate with its core audience. That's a story we hear over and over and over again. It's exhausting. It really is. People get mad at these videos. They're like, why you got to make these videos? Rah, rah, rah. Define woke. This is woke. This is the definition of woke. Crap like this. Garbage games like this that push these ideologies. You want a definition? Look at Veilguard. That is the definition of woke right there. Wrapped up in the package, from the way it was marketed with all this purple and pink coloring and all that kind of stuff, to the character designs. Look at this. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. Everything about this thing was awful and woke. I'm non-binary. The coming out scene to the mother was one of the most cringe things I've ever seen in a video game. It played like an after-school special, a trauma dump. It was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. The steep decline of EA stock underscores a growing lack of confidence in EA's leadership and long-term vision. While CEO Andrew Wilson has attempted to reassure investors by pointing to potential growth in fiscal year 2026, these promises feel like cold comfort in the face of the company's current struggles. EA's reliance on live service models, rebranding efforts, and a focus on identity politics appears to be eroding the goodwill it once enjoyed with players. The company's strategy has not only alienated portions of its fan base, but has also failed to deliver the financial returns investors expected. Yeah. So as a gamer, we don't really like live service models. There are players that like live service models. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of them out there. I mean, COD proves that right there. Overwatch proved it. Marvel Rivals have proved it. There is a type of gamer that likes that. But there are a lot of gamers that don't like live service. People don't always want to jump on and team up with 3 other people to get into a shootout with 4 other people. It's just not a thing. Some people just want to get on and enjoy the solitude of a single-player game, an RPG, an adventure, go out on an adventure and discover things and all that kind of stuff and have some fun. I enjoy multiplayer. I stream with my buddies on Arc all the time. I do some Dead Island 2 with a friend of mine and my fiance, and it's fun. These things are great too. But I also enjoy the solitude of going in and playing a single player game and just having fun with that and just meandering about my own pace. Don't have to worry about anybody else. I don't have to worry about, hey, what are we going to do tonight? Where are we going to go? Blah, blah, blah. I can be like, hey, I just feel like hanging out tonight and doing this and building or whatever, exploring a little bit. I can go at my own pace. I don't have to be beholden to anybody else. So, there's a certain joy to that. And a lot of people like that. So, yeah, just everybody going to live service, not everyone likes that. And the rebranding, whatever. But the identity politics is really, really divisive. People just, they can't stand it, man. It's absolutely insane. And the people that like it, it's such a small portion of people, and they don't buy games, obviously. Every time we see games that are focused on identity politics, they fail. Now, not every time it's in a game, but every time it's a game that's focused on it, that's the core of that game, it fails. Absolutely fails. There are games that will succeed that have it in there, but usually it's an optional thing. Usually it's a small thing or something that can be ignored or avoided. Then it can be successful. Anyways, for now, EA's left scrambling to recover from the double blow dealt by Dragon Age the Veilguard and EA Sports FC25. The company's updated revenue forecast for the fiscal year now sits between $7 billion and $7.15 billion, a sharp drop from its original projection of $7.5 to $7.8 billion. As EA faces mounting pressure from investors and fans alike, the question remains, will the company course correct, or will it continue doubling down on the strategies that led to this collapse? So what do you guys think? Are you guys surprised? I'm not, man. I expected this 100%, and I expect to see some, I wouldn't be shocked to see Edmonton close, and I wouldn't be shocked to see somebody at a higher level in this company get the axe. I really wouldn't. It's an unfortunate thing that somebody has to pay the price, right? Whoever greenlit this project and gave Corinne Busche the opportunity to make this piece of crap game and to spend as much money as they did and to waste the talents of all those developers and the time and the resources of that studio, a decade of all these people's lives to put out this steaming pile of crap, man, that person deserves to be fired. Leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace.